What if your blood pressure isn't just a number on a chart, but a whisper from your body, gently trying to warn you? What if, for years, you've been chasing pills, prescriptions, and promises, only to overlook the quiet, powerful tools you already have within you? You see, high blood pressure doesn't arrive like a thief in the night. It builds up slowly, silently, like water dripping onto stone. And by the time it makes itself known, the damage may already have begun. But what if it's not too late? Especially after the age of 60, the body begins to change. And so should the way we care for it. At this stage of life, every heartbeat carries more meaning. Every breath, every walk, every choice, it all adds up. Maybe you've been told that this is just how aging works, that blood pressure naturally rises with age. But what if that's only half the truth? Because the truth is, nature has already provided what your body needs to find balance again. Not in some expensive drug, not in a hidden secret, but in the foods you eat, the thoughts you think, the way you move, the way you rest, and the way you feel connected to the world around you. This isn't a miracle cure. This is a return to listening, to slowing down, to reclaiming what was once second nature, and making it part of your everyday life again. So if you've been feeling lost in numbers, 120/80, 140/9, if you're tired of feeling like your body is working against you, then maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop fighting and start flowing. Because healing doesn't always start in a hospital. Sometimes, it starts in the quiet corners of your kitchen, in a morning walk under the sun, in a deep breath, and a choice to begin again. Let's rediscover the natural ways to lower blood pressure, especially at an older age. Not by force, not by fear, but with gentle, powerful intention. And it starts right now. To understand how to naturally lower blood pressure, we must first understand what it really is. High blood pressure, also known as hypertension, is often called the silent killer. Why? Because it creeps in quietly. It doesn't knock. It doesn't scream. It doesn't make a scene. Instead, it waits. And it builds. It builds with every unhealthy meal, with every stressful night, with every moment we ignore what our body is telling us. Blood pressure is simply the force your blood exerts against the walls of your arteries. It sounds simple, until that pressure becomes too high, too often. Then it starts to chip away at your health, piece by piece. Think of your arteries like garden hoses. When water flows at a normal rate, the hose stays strong. But if the pressure increases, day after day, tiny cracks begin to form. Eventually, those cracks grow into real damage. That's exactly what high blood pressure does to your arteries, to your heart, to your brain, and even to your kidneys. And yet, millions of people walk around with it every single day, completely unaware. No pain, no visible signs. Until something happens. A stroke, a heart attack, a sudden collapse. This is why it matters, especially as we age. Our arteries naturally become stiffer over time. The elasticity that once absorbed the pressure of each heartbeat slowly fades. The result? A greater risk of damage, even from what used to be considered normal levels of pressure. But here's the part no one talks about. Age doesn't have to mean surrender. Getting older doesn't mean giving up your power, or your peace. You are not too old to take back control. You are not too late to start healing. Because high blood pressure is not an enemy that can only be beaten with medication. It's a condition that responds, sometimes miraculously, to small, steady, natural changes. And those changes begin with awareness. So before we dive into food, movement, herbs, and routines, we pause here, for just a moment, to acknowledge the silent damage that may have already occurred. Not to scare, but to see clearly. Because when we finally understand the enemy, we can stop running from it, and start rising to meet it. Naturally. Powerfully, one heartbeat at a time. There's a quiet myth that aging is only about decline. That as the years pass, we become weaker, slower, less capable. But what if that's not the full story? What if, hidden within the process of aging, there is a natural wisdom that younger bodies have yet to discover? You see, growing older doesn't only bring wrinkles or gray hair. It also brings awareness. An awareness of rhythm, of rest, of what truly matters. When we're young, we tend to move fast, eat fast, live fast, rarely stopping to listen. But with age, something begins to shift. We become more sensitive. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, internally. And this is our advantage. Because lowering blood pressure naturally requires just that, sensitivity. A willingness to notice what we once ignored. To slow down and feel. At an older age, the body doesn't need more force, it needs more care. And aging gracefully means giving your body what it actually craves. Balance, not pressure. Ease, not strain. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming intentional. A gentle walk, for example, can do more good than a heavy workout. A mindful meal, enjoyed slowly, can soothe the nervous system more than any pill. A few minutes of quiet breathing, every morning, can reset the rhythm of your heart. These are not small things. They are medicine. The kind of medicine that doesn't come in a bottle. The truth is, aging gives you permission to return to simplicity. To real food. To real rest. To real presence. And in doing so, your blood pressure begins to respond. Because the body always responds when it feels safe. When it's no longer being rushed, stressed, or pushed beyond its natural flow. So while others might see age as a disadvantage, you now know better. You've lived enough to understand that healing doesn't require intensity, it requires honesty. A quiet return to the body's original wisdom. And from that place, we begin to rebuild. Naturally, gracefully, with trust. Not long ago, a man in his 70s sat quietly at his kitchen table, staring at a list from his doctor. It was filled with terms he barely understood: LDL, systolic, diuretics. But one thing stood out: high risk of stroke due to uncontrolled blood pressure. He didn't say much. He didn't rush out to the pharmacy. He simply stood up, walked to the pantry, and began removing items he had eaten for years, without question. Canned soup, gone. Packaged chips, gone. Instant noodles. Processed sauces. Sugary drinks. All gone. And in their place, he began to fill his kitchen with colors. Green, red, orange, purple. The colors of real food. The kind of food that doesn't shout for your attention from the grocery aisle, but whispers healing when it reaches your plate. Because food is medicine. And perhaps the most powerful medicine we can give ourselves, day after day, year after year. Let's start with what helps lower blood pressure, naturally. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard are rich in potassium, a mineral that helps your body get rid of excess sodium, one of the major contributors to high blood pressure. Berries, especially blueberries and strawberries, are loaded with natural antioxidants called flavonoids. They don't just taste good, they support healthy blood vessels. Beets are packed with nitrates, which help relax blood vessels and improve blood flow. Even drinking beet juice can lead to measurable drops in blood pressure within hours. Oats, with their soluble fiber, work gently to reduce both cholesterol and pressure, keeping the heart from working too hard. Fatty fish like salmon and mackerel bring in omega-3s, those heart-friendly fats that reduce inflammation and keep your arteries flexible. Bananas, avocados, kiwis, and sweet potatoes, all rich in minerals like potassium and magnesium, support natural balance inside your body. Garlic. It may seem simple, but it contains compounds that increase nitric oxide in the blood, helping vessels relax and expand. But as much as food can heal, it can also harm. And some of the most damaging items hide in plain sight. Salt, especially in processed foods, is a silent threat. Not the pinch you add while cooking, but the mountains of sodium packed into canned soups, frozen meals, instant noodles, and sauces. It tightens blood vessels, forcing your heart to push harder. Sugar, especially in sugary drinks, pastries, and cereals, spikes insulin, triggers inflammation, and contributes to weight gain, another enemy of blood pressure control. Processed meats, such as sausages, bacon, and deli slices, combine both salt and preservatives in levels that are anything but heart-friendly. Alcohol in excess may numb the mind temporarily, but it stiffens arteries over time, especially when consumed regularly. So, how do you begin? Start small. Replace one processed snack with a fresh piece of fruit. Swap out white rice for quinoa or brown rice. Choose water over soda. Herbal tea over packaged juices. You don't have to change everything overnight. Healing through food is not about punishment. It's about nourishment. Every meal is a message to your body. Every bite either adds to your healing or slows it down. The man at the kitchen table didn't become a different person overnight. But 1 month later, his blood pressure dropped. 3 months later, his doctor was surprised. 6 months later, he felt stronger, not just physically, but emotionally. Because he had done something powerful. He took back control, one plate at a time. There was a time when movement was part of life. Not planned, not tracked, not scheduled, just natural. We walked to the market. We climbed stairs without thinking. We stood, we bent, we lifted, we stretched. And somehow, our bodies stayed strong. But as time passed, life changed. Comfort replaced effort. Technology replaced walking. And slowly, silently, we began to sit more than we moved. For many people in their older years, movement becomes a memory, something they used to do. But here's the truth. Your body hasn't forgotten how to move. It's simply waiting for permission. And movement, more than almost anything else, has a direct and powerful effect on blood pressure. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need to lift heavy weights or run marathons. You only need consistency. Because when your muscles move, your blood flows. When your heart works in rhythm with your breath, your arteries become more flexible. When you walk, stretch, or sway, your pressure begins to drop, gently but reliably. Let's talk about walking, perhaps the most underrated form of medicine. A 30-minute walk, 5 days a week, has been shown to lower both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Not just once, but over time. Even a short 10-minute walk after meals can help regulate blood sugar and support heart health. Tai Chi, the ancient Chinese practice of slow, deliberate movement, is more than beautiful, it's healing. Studies show it helps reduce stress, improve balance, and lower blood pressure through calming the nervous system. Chair yoga or gentle stretching routines allow the body to move within its limits. They help with circulation, breathing, and mood, all essential for managing hypertension naturally. And then there's deep breathing while moving, a forgotten practice in the modern world. Matching your breath to your steps, or your stretches, reconnects the mind and body in a way that medications never can. The key is not intensity. The key is rhythm. Imagine a river. When it flows steadily, the water is clear. Life thrives. But when it stops, the water becomes stagnant. Heavy. Thick. Your blood is no different. It was made to move. To carry oxygen, nutrients, and energy to every part of your being. And when you sit for too long day after day, it's like damming the river. Pressure builds. Fatigue increases. And the body begins to harden. But when you begin to move, just a little each day, you release that pressure. You restore flow. You return to life. So, find your movement. Not someone else's. Not what you should do. But what feels good, what brings ease, what brings joy. Because when movement becomes a celebration instead of a chore, the body responds. The blood responds. And your heart, both literally and emotionally, begins to lighten. This is the power of natural movement. Not loud, not flashy, but deeply, quietly, healing. You can eat well. You can move daily. You can drink herbal teas and track your blood pressure. But if your mind is drowning in stress, healing will always be incomplete. Because blood pressure doesn't just respond to what enters your mouth. It responds, sometimes even more fiercely, to what enters your mind. Stress is silent. It doesn't always announce itself. It hides in clenched jaws, in shallow breathing, in sleepless nights and constant worry. It creeps into your chest and settles there, tightening your arteries, speeding your heart. And for many older adults, this stress doesn't come from one source. It comes from many. Worries about health, about finances, about family, independence, purpose. Even memories, regrets, losses, and what-ifs can build into invisible weight. That weight shows up in your body. And one of the first places it appears? Your blood pressure. But here's the healing truth. You can calm the storm. Not by escaping stress entirely. That's not real life. But by changing the way you respond to it. Because when you calm your mind, your heart listens. And your pressure follows. Let's begin with breath. Not just any breath, but conscious, gentle, deliberate breathing. When you take slow, deep breaths, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, your body's built-in relax button. Try this simple practice. Breathe in for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Breathe out for 8 seconds. Repeat this for just 5 minutes. Your body will feel the difference, almost immediately. Then, there's mindfulness meditation. Not sitting in silence for hours, just noticing. Noticing the sensations in your body, the thoughts in your mind. Allowing them to pass like clouds in the sky, without clinging to them. Even 10 minutes a day can rewire your stress response. You become less reactive, less tense, and your blood vessels begin to relax. Journaling is another powerful practice. Pouring your thoughts onto paper each morning clears the emotional clutter. It turns vague anxiety into words, and words into understanding. And from understanding comes peace. And don't forget laughter. Yes, laughter. Watching something that makes you smile. Spending time with someone who brings you joy. Laughter releases endorphins. It improves blood flow. It may seem simple, but it works. Stress is part of life, but suffering from it is not a requirement. So, ask yourself, where does stress live in your body? Is it in your shoulders, your stomach, your sleep? And more importantly, what would it look like to gently let it go? Not all at once. Not perfectly. Just a little, today. Because when your mind learns to soften, your heart begins to beat in rhythm again. Not rushed, not strained, but calm, clear, steady. That too is medicine. That too lowers pressure. And that too is entirely within your power. It's easy to overlook sleep. We treat it like an afterthought, something that happens when the day is over, when there's nothing left to do. But for the human body, sleep is not a luxury. It's a biological necessity, a nightly ritual of repair. And when it comes to blood pressure, sleep might be one of the most underrated, yet powerful, natural regulators. You see, during deep sleep, your heart slows down. Your blood vessels relax. Your body, which works all day to keep you upright, alert, and functioning, finally enters a state of healing. It's not just rest. It's restoration. But in the later years of life, sleep often becomes more fragile. It gets lighter, interrupted. Sometimes, it even disappears for hours. And with that, blood pressure rises, slowly, subtly, because the body never truly gets a chance to reset. So what can be done? Not with pills, but with presence. With small, intentional rituals that invite the body back into rhythm. Begin with your evening routine. The brain needs signals that it's time to rest, just as it needs signals to wake up. Start dimming lights an hour before bed. Turn off screens, reduce noise, lower the temperature. Let the world grow quieter, inside and out. Warm herbal teas like chamomile, passion flower, or lemon balm can gently calm the nervous system. They are not sedatives. They are invitations to slow down. Avoid caffeine in the afternoon. Even small amounts can linger in your system, tightening vessels and stimulating the heart long after the sun sets. If your mind races at night, try writing in a journal before bed. Put your worries on paper so they don't echo in your dreams. Gentle stretches or breathing exercises can also signal to your body, it's safe to let go now. Remember the breath? In for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. That same breath can carry you into sleep like a lullaby. And finally, respect your rhythms. Go to bed and wake up at the same time each day, even on weekends. Your body thrives on rhythm. The more consistent your sleep, the more balanced your hormones, your heart rate, and yes, your blood pressure. Because without good sleep, even the best food and exercise will struggle to keep your pressure low. But with good sleep, everything else begins to work better. You wake up lighter, clearer, calmer, and that calm flows through your veins like medicine. So tonight, treat your sleep not as a habit, but as a healer. A sacred appointment with the deepest parts of your being. Close your eyes not just to end the day, but to begin the healing. Long before pharmacies and prescriptions, there were roots. There were leaves, seeds, flowers, gifts of the earth that healed quietly, gently, and often profoundly. For centuries, across cultures and continents, people turned to nature to support the heart, calm the nerves, and lower what we now call blood pressure. Today, modern science is beginning to confirm what our ancestors already knew: that certain natural remedies, when used wisely and consistently, can support the body's ability to regulate pressure, protect the heart, and restore balance. These aren't miracle cures. They're helpers, partners on the path. And when used alongside mindful eating, movement, rest, and breath, they can make a difference. Let's begin with one of the most powerful and well-studied: garlic. Raw or aged, garlic contains allicin, a compound that helps blood vessels relax. It supports better circulation, lowers cholesterol, and improves overall heart health. Some studies have shown that regular garlic consumption can reduce systolic blood pressure by 5 to 10 points. Try adding fresh garlic to your meals daily, or use aged garlic supplements under guidance. Next, consider hibiscus tea. Its deep red color isn't just beautiful, it's healing. Hibiscus is rich in anthocyanins and antioxidants that help relax arterial walls and promote smoother blood flow. Drinking 2 to 3 cups of hibiscus tea per day has been shown to gently lower blood pressure over time. Olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil, is more than just a kitchen staple. It contains polyphenol that protect the heart, reduce inflammation, and support healthy arteries. In Mediterranean cultures, where olive oil is consumed daily, heart health is significantly better, and hypertension rates are lower. Now, let's turn to a few lesser-known allies. Flax seeds. These tiny seeds are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids and lignans. Just 2 tablespoons a day can improve circulation and help reduce pressure over time. Add them to smoothies, oatmeal, or yogurt. Cinnamon. Often associated with sweetness, cinnamon actually helps stabilize blood sugar and may support blood pressure regulation when taken regularly, about 1 to 2 grams per day. Turmeric. With its active compound, curcumin, turmeric reduces inflammation and improves endothelial function, which is critical for blood vessel health. It can be consumed as a spice, tea, or supplement. Let's not forget the calming herbs. Ashwagandha and rhodiola help balance cortisol, the stress hormone. Less cortisol means less tension, and that often translates into lower blood pressure. Valerian root and passionflower help promote deeper sleep and reduce nervous tension. Remember, nature works slowly, but surely. Unlike synthetic drugs, which act quickly and often with side effects, these herbs tend to support the body's own healing processes over time. But they must be used with respect. Always consult with a trusted health practitioner before mixing herbs with prescription medications, especially for blood pressure. And above all, honor the ritual. Don't just take these herbs. Prepare them. Sip them. Sit with them. Asterisk asterisk. Let your tea be a moment of stillness. Let your food be an act of care. Let your natural remedies remind you. You are not separate from the earth. Its healing is your healing. When we walk with nature, we don't need to force healing. We simply make space for it. And sometimes, that is more than enough. When we think of blood pressure, we often think of numbers. Systolic, diastolic, 120 over 80, 140 over 90. We think of salt, of medicine, of exercise and diet. But very rarely do we think of loneliness. And yet, research shows that isolation, especially in older age, can be just as harmful to the heart as smoking or obesity. Not metaphorically. Literally. The absence of connection doesn't just weigh on the soul, it weighs on the body. It tightens the chest. It slows the breath. It raises the pressure. Because humans were not made to live alone. Not completely. We are wired for connection. To talk. To laugh. To be seen. And when that connection disappears, the body knows. It remembers. And it begins to signal distress, in the form of inflammation, tension, and yes, high blood pressure. But just as isolation harms, community heals. You don't need a crowd. You don't need constant company. You simply need belonging. A few trusted friends. A weekly group, whether for prayer, discussion, walking, or tea. A neighbor you wave to each morning. A phone call with someone who listens without judgment. These moments, though small, create safety. They remind your body, asterisk, you are not alone. You are held. You are seen. Asterisk. And in that safety, the nervous system relaxes. The heart calms. The pressure drops. In Okinawa, Japan, home to some of the world's longest living people, there's a concept called moai. It's a lifelong group of friends who support one another through every season of life. Health, hardship, joy, grief. Everything is shared. And in that sharing, there is strength. There is healing. You don't need to move to Japan to have this. You can build it where you are. Reach out. Start small. Invite someone in. Even volunteering, teaching, or simply listening to someone else can shift your physiology. Helping others helps your own heart. Because connection isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. So if you're waking up alone more often than not, if you're going days or weeks without a real conversation, know that it matters. Not just emotionally, but physically. Your blood pressure rises when you carry life alone, and it softens when someone else carries it with you. Let community be part of your medicine. Let friendship be part of your routine, because sometimes the most powerful healer is another human heart, beating close to yours. We live in a world obsessed with quick fixes, fast results, instant relief. We want progress now, today, this week, this month. But the body has its own rhythm. And healing, real, lasting healing, it doesn't happen in a rush. It happens through consistency. Because one healthy meal won't change your life. One good night's sleep won't undo years of damage. One walk, one breath, one cup of herbal tea, alone, they're not magic. But repeated, day after day, with patience and love, they become transformation. Let's return to the image of the river. A river doesn't shape the rocks by force. It shapes them by flowing, continuously. Gentle, steady, relentless. That's what consistency is. Not perfection. Not doing everything, all at once. But showing up, again and again. It's waking up each morning and drinking a glass of warm water before coffee. It's choosing the stairs instead of the elevator, even if it's just one flight. It's making time for that 10-minute walk, even when the sky is gray. It's turning off the screen 30 minutes before bed, lighting a candle, and inviting sleep with silence. It's remembering your breath when stress tightens your chest. These things may seem small, but the body remembers. Every act of care is a message. Asterisk, you matter. You are safe. You are healing. Asterisk. Consistency also means forgiveness. Forgiving yourself on the days you miss. On the days you fall back into old habits. Because this is not a race. It's a rhythm. You are not failing when you stumble. You are human. And every step forward counts, even if it's followed by 2 steps back. Many people give up not because they don't know what to do, but because they expect to see results too soon. And when they don't, they assume it's not working. But healing often happens quietly, invisibly, slowly. Pressure begins to shift. The heart begins to soften. Energy returns. Mood lifts. Sleep deepens. And then one day, the doctor looks at your chart and says, something's changed. But you will already know, because you lived that change, one decision at a time. So make a routine. Not one that exhausts you, but one that honors you. Wake with intention. Move with ease. Eat with awareness. Breathe with patience. Sleep with peace. Connect with others. Repeat. Again. And again. And again. Because consistency is the true medicine. And every consistent act is a vote for your future self. So here we are. We've walked through food, through movement, through breath and sleep. We've looked at herbs, at stillness, at community and rhythm. Not as separate things, but as threads in the same fabric. A fabric called healing. And maybe now, you see it differently. Maybe blood pressure is no longer just a number to chase or fear. Maybe it's a signal, a teacher, a quiet request from your heart, asking you to slow down and listen. Because underneath all the science, all the research, all the routines, there is one truth that carries it all. Your body wants to heal. Even now. Even at your age. Even after all the years of stress, of habits, of disconnection. The heart never stops trying. The blood never stops flowing. The body never stops asking you to come home. And that home? It's built in the choices you make each day. In the way you eat. The way you move. The way you breathe. The way you sleep. The way you connect. The way you love and care for this one body you've been given. Maybe healing doesn't come from more effort, but from better alignment. Not punishing your body, but partnering with it. Not controlling nature, but cooperating with it. Not chasing life, but letting it return to you. So if you've been overwhelmed, exhausted, unsure where to begin, start here. One glass of water. One mindful walk. One deep breath. One nourishing meal. One phone call to someone you miss. One night of full sleep. One herbal tea by the window as the sun sets. That's it. That's the path. Not in the grand gesture, but in the small repetition. Not in control, but in surrender. Not in doing more, but in doing what matters. Your heart has carried you this far. Let it carry you further. Not with pressure, but with presence. Because you don't need to fight your blood pressure. You need to flow with your nature. And when you do, you may discover that the healing you've been searching for was never outside of you. It's been waiting within you all along.